Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 3 series of professional StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Neon Violet Square. Spawning right here in the bottom right hand corner, playing with the red Protoss pieces, we have none other than Skillous, and this opponent up in the top left with the blue Zerg pieces, he goes by the name of Rogue. I've been loving the Rogue's games as of late. It's been a little bit since I've last had a look at a Skillous game. There's no denying, though, that Skillous is one of the very best Protoss players on the European server, and Protoss does seem to have a bit of a better time. Are we going gold base first, Rogue? Oh, Rogue immediately goes Rogue. It's not gonna happen, though. Nah. He wanted to go for the gold base. I'm a little disappointed it didn't happen. Yeah, now that I think about it, so this map was part of the StarCraft 2 map pool back in the olden days, aka 2018? Something along those lines. It's really not been that long. It's a great shopping mall, by the way, with Emporio Ormoni and Long Johns, all you can eat. Anyways, I remember that one of the strategies that players would like to go for is that very quick gold base. Apparently, he's trying to now make a natural expansion in his opponent's natural, and he gets it. Alright, Rogue is starting off this particular series by being a bully. Yeah, taking a page out of Dark's book. Zerg players, especially from Korea, they tend to be jerks. They like this sort of thing. So, the nice advantage of doing this, right? So, technically speaking, if StarCraft 2 was an equation, this is something that is negative EV. It's not something that's actually good for Zerg. But what it does is that it forces the game to guide, it's guiding the game in a direction that the Zerg players are more comfortable with. Protoss in general is considered to be the most build order specific race in StarCraft 2, and because of this proxy hatchery, basically the entire strategy from Protoss needs to be adjusted. There's a little bit of residual creep. Is that the word? Yeah, residual creep. Some tentacles that are just a bit annoying. Nexus will be planted down eventually, but it's significantly later. This was supposed to go down at 20 supply, and now Skillous is already all the way up to 28. The latest gas guys are over here too, so a quick transition towards, for example, a Stargate would be pretty much impossible. Now he needs to go for that third pylon as well, because normally you rely on the Nexus to finish up to give you additional supply. Doesn't have that luxury at this point, so everything kind of becomes a bit of a nuisance. So while technically it's a mineral advantage, for Protoss, they have to adjust everything that they do, and it's just a little bit frustrating. So if you're one of those Zerg players, or I guess a StarCraft 2 player in general, who enjoys playing the more chaotic game, this is the type of stuff that can work, well, absolute wonders. Third hatchery coming up right here for Rogue. The Zealot has decided to join in too. Queen decides to put a creep tumor over here. If we can kill it, that would actually be super nice. Good play. Lovely play. I think the Zealot ultimately will go down. I mean, link speed is not yet finished. It's unlikely that the Zealot is gonna make its trip back home. Stargate does come up. Normal timing for the first Oracle is at about 4 minutes. It usually reaches the other side of the map. We're now 3.5 minutes in, and the Stargate isn't even done yet. So everything is just a little bit trickier. And usually for Zerg, oh, we're going. Oh, he was thinking about Void Ray first, canceled it, goes for a Oracle instead. Usually for Zerg, your bottleneck for base defense is the amount of queens that you can produce, so the queens just take a long time to come out of the hatchery. And obviously, if you can delay the Stargate, it does mean that you end up with more queens, even if you do spend a bunch of minerals for it. But yeah, being a jerk to your opponent is a great idea if you feel comfortable in the chaotic games. I've done a lot of StarCraft 2 coaching over the years. And one theme that has always remained true is that most players, especially Diamond players, that seems to be where most people are like, okay, I would really like to have some coaching now. Most StarCraft 2 players, especially in Diamond League, are really good at playing straight up StarCraft. So when the game goes the way it's quote-unquote supposed to go, they're actually really good, like easily master level. But as soon as something out of the ordinary hits, like for example a proxy hatchery, or anything off of the normal, right, off of the beaten path, that immediately, yeah, it's more like maybe Platinum League play rather than Diamond. And that's That's difficult. Like, being comfortable with discomfort is really hard in StarCraft. Maybe it sounds a little bit extreme, but it is something you can only really learn off of, well, many, many, many games. And getting better over time is really the main goal. But it is it is definitely a bit of a mind shift change. Mind shift change? Mindset change. There we go. Anyways, it's gonna be Glaive the Depths on the back of this right now for Skillous. We'll be following this up right now as well with a Forge. He's playing under the ID, by the way, of Liquid Skill, because Skillous does not fit. There's a character limit in StarCraft 2, so rather than Liquid Skill, we're going Liquid Skillous. Obviously part of Team Liquid. One of the original organizations in esports. Lair coming up. Roach War now about a third of the way done. What did we just kill? Oh, a creep tumor. I guess he wanted to build the Evo chamber over here. Yeah. Curious. Not really entirely necessary, but fair enough. How much damage can we do, though, with these adepts right now? This is, of course, a commitment. Protoss can't really be just making a bunch of adepts and then hoping they're going to be useful later on. These units fall off the longer that the game goes. Killing a hatchery alone, though, is already pretty good. Is he going to commit? He will commit. Is the Oracle going to be able to finish the job? It's going to try. It does have that energy recharge ability on it, I'm pretty sure, because it has a lot of energy. Slowly but surely, the hatchery is dying. Drones forced to run away. A lot of lost mining time, and I think the hatchery will die. Yeah, that hatchery, even if it's remained at like 2 HP, it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be very useful for the Zerg player anymore. And this is working out really nicely here for Skillous. Decides to recall at least the majority of those adepts. Oracle also does stay alive. Yeah, and I wonder if this is a bit of a wake-up call right here for Rogue. Whenever I see somebody go for the proxy hatch, and they're not dark, it always seems almost a little bit disrespectful, because everybody knows it's not the most efficient way to play. So maybe this is Rogue saying, yo, buddy, don't you know who I am? I'm one of the most successful Zerg players in the world, right? And yeah, Skillous, obviously, not somebody who quite has as many, for example, tournament victories or prize money earnings, right? Like he's got his own fair share of success, but not quite up to Rogue standards. So far, Skillous is doing a really solid job. It's a Spire on the back of this too. Skillous going for more of that efficient approach, right? Not that Korean chaos. So we're going for the European efficiency. I mean, there is some truth to that. In general, the Koreans do play a little bit more YOLO. And the Zerg players from Europe, for example, will approach it very differently. So far, so good. Templar Archives coming up. Blink just about to finish. He doesn't yet know about the Spire, but the Spire is another one of those things where I'm like, it can be amazing for Zerg, but it can also just fall flat on its face. The thing, though, here for Skillous is that he doesn't know, right? He has no idea. Does he prepare for it blindly? I don't see a photon cannon in any of these mineral lines. There is a shield battery coming up over at the 4th base, but the main is certainly going to be the main, well, attack line right here for Rogue, right? There's a very good chance he's going to be moving on over around the left side of the map down towards the bottom. Then again, if you're committing this much money into a bunch of mutas, do you actually have enough to defend against the main Protoss army here at the front? Nice little Zergling run by, though, by Rogue, trying to see if he can get some damage done over at that newly acquired Protoss base. Yeah, sometimes the best defense is, of course, the offense. Does he see the mutas right now? There's a photon cannon building inside of the main base, and that's actually a super important one. Having one photon cannon there really does slow things down. It means that the probes will live. You can make a couple additional stalkers here. The multitasking, though, does become really tricky because mutas, well, they're going to soak up quite a bit of attention. Skillous microing here at the front. Photon cannon, though, already buying some time. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Eventually, the photon cannon will die. But just because of the photon cannon, quite a few of these probes do live. And the stalkers can push this away. In the meantime, he's still fighting at the front. So he's microing multiple angles at once. We do have Sonic Storm finishing up, too. No High Templar anywhere to be seen. But it's something that the mutas will have to watch out for. Mortal can't really shoot up. Not too useful, but I would also say, though, that those mutas have not been particularly useful across the board. Hatchery does live for now. Rogue add a supply advantage, making 18 additional roaches. So after the mutas die, we're just going straight back to the good old trusted roach. Cost efficiency-wise, lovely plays right here by Skillous, who, by the way, still has this pocket expansion. He can use that to his advantage a little bit later on. He doesn't really need the gas at this point, but if later on he feels like he needs some more of it, it's a great opportunity for him to, for example, transition towards Skytles. If the game goes on for long enough, that's usually your main bottleneck. You do need more gas. Not a lot of mineral fields here, but 2 functioning gas geysers. Here's that roach transition, though. He's already been making immortals. There's only 2 of them, but 2 immortals actually quite good. They do destroy roaches. Tunneling claws on the back of this 2 right here for Rogue. I mean, all of these things can work for the Zerg player. And maybe they are working. It's just all a bit of a gamble. He's rolling the dice one too many times for my liking. So far, though, killing a bunch of probes over here. Immortals in the front. He needs to multitask against everything. That's what's causing those immortals at the front to die. Rogue, though, does lose pretty much all of the roaches here, too. And the ones in the main are not going to be long behind this. Burrow coming up, but it's not yet done. Tunneling Claws coming up, but also not yet done. I love these couple adepts, actually. I was wondering what was killing those drones. 8 workers on the side of the Zerg have also gone down. It's not like Rogue has that big of an economy in the first place. He's really just doubling down on mass roach. So far, Skill is having some superior traits. I think we can call it that. Keeping a lot of those weakened stalkers alive really does help. He's going into the +3 upgrade too. Whoa, looks like we had a couple of Stormy Boys over here, but I'm assuming the High Templar did die. But this is a fight that I do want to keep my eyes on, because this is looking like an incredible engagement here for Skillous, who's now blinking aggressively into the Zerg army. Brilliant game right here by the Protoss player. He obtains the victory in the first map of this series. Some proper multitasking, some great control. Staying in control of the match in general is really hard against that super chaotic, fast-moving Zerg style. But Skillous just seemed to be strategically a step ahead of Rogue, which is really not something we commonly see. I actually think, yeah, Skillous might be one of the most underrated players in the entire game. He's genuinely very good. Doesn't quite have the offline tournament results. Let me actually have a quick little look at his Wikipedia page. Maybe I'm forgetting some of them. So he's currently 23 years old. He's gotten very good over the last couple of years, which is awesome. What is his biggest tournament win of all time? Apparently, Championship of Russia 2020, where he won 3-0 over Cougar. That is one hell of a username. That was back in 2020, and then he won the same tournament as well in 2021. Yeah. So I know he moved to the Netherlands some years ago, and that's got to be the reason why he's got so good at StarCraft, right? I mean, the Netherlands just has it all. All good things happen in the Netherlands. That's just how it goes, guys. I can't really... When you live in the greatest country in the world, obviously you get good at StarCraft. Yeah. I mean, it didn't really help me, but it seemed it seems to have helped Skillous quite a bit. He's been competing for a long time, actually. I didn't quite realize that Skillous was only 23. I feel like I've seen Skillous in so many tournaments over the years. When's the first time he placed highly in a tournament? Back in 2018. So back in 2018 is when he first won a small online tournament against Dimaga in the grand finals. Yeah, pretty cool. He's got an approximate total tournament winnings of just under $100,000. So all of those small cups they do certainly add up. It's just that Rogue, if I contrast that to Rogue, so Rogue obviously just recently came back from his mandatory military service. So he hasn't been able to show as much of himself over the last couple of years, but he is one of the very few StarCraft 2 millionaires. There's a couple of guys that have got over $1 million in tournament earnings. And Rogue is part of the exclusive club. He's now been back, though, for at least, like, half a year or so, right? He's already been playing again for quite a long time, and Rogue is one of the most fun players to watch. But in the first game of this series, it certainly seemed like Skillous had his number. Void Ray Opener. Void Ray Opener into a wall-off over here. So he's certainly going to make a third Nexus nice and quickly. It's going to be a pretty fast one, actually. Normal time for this with a Stargate build is about 345 to 350. So this one is slightly quicker. Skipping out on the second gateway, for example. Apparently just relying on this wide open space. A little risky, but lucky for him. There's no links or anything going across the map. Void Ray can sort of make work of that, but yeah, ultimately he does wall himself in this section, so at least the natural is slightly safer. Now, where do we take this game from here? Because I've seen quite a few Tempest builds as of late. It is something that's quite popular on the European end of things, and not really something we've seen the Koreans deal with all too much. Most of the Koreans seem to be fond of going into, well, for example, a Stargate opener, and then to Oracle, and then into Twilight Council and Forge. So they go for a much more conventional follow-up. Yep! This is that European style that I've been liking quite a bit. So this is the fast fleet beacon into what should be a second Stargate as well in a moment. And then straight into Tempest. Because of the speed of this third Nexus, he can mine the gases super quick on it too if he wants to, and he can get all the resources he needs to play a proper Skytles army. This is also exactly the style that every Diamond League Zerg every Diamond League Zerg player hates this stuff. They hate it so much. Well, that was bad. I think he assumed he set up a rally point or something, but did not quite send the Oracle back. But there it is. 5-minute Tempest. Not even. So usually you build a bunch of Tempest. You use them to try and kill the fourth base for the Zerg. That one will be coming up in a moment. There's really not a whole lot that the Zerg player can do about it. So the most reliable choice that Zerg has against Skytles is the Corruptor. But if you look at the timing of the lair, like this is a conventionally timed lair. Maybe even slightly early here for Rogue. The Spire takes a long time to produce. He just won't have the stuff. Now, this is actually quite curious though. It's only a single Stargate into a single Tempest. He is sending it towards the fourth base of the Zerg player. But it's straight mothership? Really? Okay. So single Stargate into, well, Forge upgrades and I guess into like Charge and Blink? Curious. Is this enough though to kill the fourth base? I'm not 100% convinced. So what this does do, so when there's smoke, there's fire, right? So Rogue is thinking here, okay, you're going for Tempest. Everybody's playing double Stargate Tempest. So I have to go for a Spire. He's also going Hydra then, though. I think that's the smart choice. He's going Hydra then together with Spire. Hydra Corruptor is a banger unit composition, man. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Energy recharge ability used right there on the shield battery. I'm just not sure if, like, a single Stargate is going to be good enough to kill the fourth base. I don't think so. In the meantime, the Zerglings are going to town on one of the rocks. Templar Archives coming up. And Zerglings swooping around the right side here of that mineral line. They should be able to cancel that base, though, and this is lovely. Yeah, great move right there by Rogue. This base is certainly going to live. A third Tempest is showing up, but I'm not really liking this all too much for Skillous. I think he's trying to get something fancy done. But I'm a little afraid that we're going to see those Corruptors swoop in and the Tempest just sort of die. Here's the mothership. Corruptors just about to spawn. We are finally, though, at a number of Tempests here where Skillous can actually start working on the Nexus, or the Zerg Nexus. properly. But Corruptors are already here, and there's still plenty of transfusions available. Skillous probably also wondering, yo, buddy, why aren't you... Recall, we gotta recall. Recall. Okay. Yeah. Lost one of them. He was still dancing at the front as well. So now it's a funny little unit comp, though. Because as the Zerg player here, what exactly do you do? So you've seen Skytoss, yes. But it's like the least amount of Skytoss you could ever be playing against. It seems to be a transition towards ground toss with a mothership for support. I guess you go Hydras here? Yeah. So you end up with a bunch of Corruptors that are really only good against specific targets. But I guess it's not quite dead supply. Getting the Council on that 4th Nexus was a big one though for Rogue. It means that his economy is still really solid actually compared to that of the Protoss player. I think if Skillous would have gone double Stargate Tempest, he would have had the kill on that hatchery done for sure. Maybe because the lair was slightly early. Maybe he assumed that it was a normal timed lair and then... Well, anyways, here's the storm going down. Time Warp also coming up. Lurker down on the production tab. Rogue is indeed going to try and see if he can just go for a much more conventional approach against this sort of thing. +2. Finishing already here for Skillous. Charge indeed on the back of this after Blink. Energy recharge used on the Oracle. But he's forced to play a much more passive style now. I think he probably is aiming to go for maybe more of like a maxed out approach and then go from there. Still sprinkling in one Tempest at a time. I'm not sure how I feel about the one Tempest. I guess if Zerg overmakes Corruptors, it's gonna work out really well. Oh. I wonder if we should make extra Oracles instead. Cloak being activated though with the mothership, and here come the Corruptors. Good splitties right here by the Zerg player. Really mitigating so much of that damage. Not enough Templar available anymore to cast High Templar. Or to cast Sonic Storm rather. Looks like for now at least the mothership lives. Time Warp also coming in clutch. Mothership itself has got 21 kills. Huh? The mothership might be saving itself. This is actually still a surprisingly close engagement. I thought Rogue was going to absolutely trash this. It's a lot of static defense. We haven't seen Protoss players really make a lot of static defense like this in the new patch. He actually holds that. Because of the shield batteries, the mothership actually lived. I did see the Corruptors derp around a little bit, so maybe a Rogue lost his target firing on them for just a moment. Yeah, the new mothership is really good. She's got 22 kills all by herself. Like, even if she dies now, it's been a cost-efficient trait, right? To not even really say anything about the spells that it's been casting. Those abilities are all amazing. A proper hero unit. +1 air weapons coming up right now. I think we need to chill for a little bit though, because yes, that was a good fight for Protoss in the end, I think-ish, sort of. But this is not a Zerg player who's fizzling out by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, ooh, he saw it. Good blink. He needs to be very careful against the Lurker attack. If the Lurkers burrow over here, that base is super dead. He does not yet have a reliable tactic against the Lurker. And Rogue knows it. There's 4 High Templar. But if those Lurkers are in a good position, you're not going to break it. Nah, that base is dead. May as well cancel. Yeah. Instant cancel. He's going to take a kill as well on the other side of the map, it looks like. Lurker's thinking about moving up to the high ground. I don't think Rogue should be splitting up his units. Maybe if he can kill the Cybercore, though. That would be nice. Recall is going to bring some of those units back home. Looks like the Cybercore will actually fall. +1 air weapons gets denied. Couple Corruptors here, a little bit ahead of the job. Protoss army right now split as well, though. Zerg has decided to regroup again. He doesn't have any real easy detection here against those Lurkers. Like, yeah, there might be an Observer, but obviously there's also Overseer, so he needs Oracles to cast Revelation to really see this properly. Well, could have force-fielded it, didn't quite get it done in time. Hydra's moving up towards the high ground. Ooh. There's a lot of units. Here we go again. Mothership. She's like, back off! Get off my lawn! She has a very deep voice, apparently. She smokes a lot. Yeah, it's, you know, don't want to talk about it. Anyways, probes are slowly starting to die, and so is the Nexus itself. Maybe we should be targeting the Overseers in these kind of scenarios. Losing the Oracle here was actually a big deal, though. The fact that he didn't see these units easily really slowed it all down. Now there's a new Oracle available, but this is why it's so critical to keep those units alive. In the meantime, we do have a Zealot run by as well on the other side of the map, actually killing a substantial amount of those drones. 19 of them have already gone down. Mothership finally falls. That might be a minus 400, but I think she did kill like 1200. She did a lot of good things in life. She will not be remembered for long, though, because the second mom is coming up. At this rate, if it's up to Rogue, he doesn't want to see the stepmothership. No, he doesn't want to meet her. I mean, it's... yeah, no, I can imagine. It's not easy. Storm? Oh, good storm. Rogue is smelling blood in the water. But I wonder if it's a little bit early. Okay. I mean, it is Christmas after all, right? Maybe meeting the stepmothership is not that bad of an idea, right? Maybe we can all take it a little easy here and just hang out for a moment. All Skillous really wants to do, though, is stabilize. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've been casting this from a point where I have been thinking Zerg is overwhelming Protoss for the last 5 minutes. And he's not. Like, he's still at a lead. But heads off right here to Skillous, he's actually doing a great job not dying. I know that maybe sounds a little bit silly, but I think he's still in a bad spot. But the fact that he's actually not dead says a lot. Like, it shows you how strong some of those new Protoss tools really are. Rogue's economy is nothing to write home about, by the way. Oh, another Oracle dice. Man, I'm liking everything Skillous is doing except for the Oracle control. Oh, good storm. Time warp coming up. Good storm again. Is there enough? Cloaking field gets activated. Stepmom gets targeted down and she instantly dies. I think the Corruptors are still winning the Sky Battle, right? And then everything for the Zerg on the ground is going to overwhelm the Protoss. That was looking pretty good for Skillous for a long time, until it didn't. And that takes us to Frostline. Final game in this best of 3 series. I'm happy to see what Skillous is doing here. Yeah. I may not have been seeing that many of his games lately. I haven't really seen him compete in as many events as of late, but he's been playing some good StarCraft, it seems. I really like the overall decision making. A little bit more refinement would go a really long way. Rogue is just doing what Rogue does best, right? That super brutal Zerg approach. Constant tech switches. Non-stop aggression. Rogue has always been a very abusive Zerg. My favorite example of that is back when he had the very best late game in all of StarCraft 2. So his late game was an absolute menace. Nobody could really beat him. But what did Rogue do in that GSL? Well, the Nidus Worm was overpowered, so he only ever went for Nidus all-ins. Be the best macro player on the planet, cheese every game. Like, that's the Rogue mindset. Time and time again has he figured out what the most abusive approach is, and he does not care. Like, he's not here to play games for the fans. He's not here really to have fun. He's here to win. And that's the only thing he wants to do. Now, sadly for him, there doesn't seem to be anything too abusive in the current StarCraft 2 meta. Not really a whole lot that he can do. So let's see. Where do we take this from here? Yeah, Rogue is a businessman doing business. If you don't perform, you're out. So far, I think he's probably pleasantly surprised by the fight that Skillous is putting up. Because that previous game was a win, yes. But not an overwhelming one. And the first game, I think Rogue actually played exactly what he wanted to, but he just got outskilled. Rogue is dangerous, by the way, especially in offline tournaments. So there's some players out there that choke, right? Like as soon as you get to a tournament and you perform well, like you get up to like the round of 8, maybe you make it to the semifinals. There's a lot of players that are known to choke. Very common. It's called being human, I believe, and having these things called emotions. I don't know what that's like. Anyways, Rogue doesn't seem to have any of those problems. He does not care. Yeah. Stone Cold Killer. There's some players out there, man. And then there's guys like, for example, Dark, who like is a Stone Cold Killer and he does it with a smile, you know? Like he's... it's the worst type of character, I think. Yeah. Very, very annoying to play against. Not afraid to bring you the most risky strategies, even in the grand finals if he needs to. I'm sure he feels nerfs, but he doesn't show it. This is good though. There are also a couple links in the meantime on the other side of the map. 2 drones killed is pretty solid, but 2 probes killed by the links is also pretty solid. Target opener here again for Skillous. Nothing surprising there. But notice here that Rogue is no longer going for any of that proxy hatch shenanigans. Now in the previous game, Skillous went for a super quick third. This time around, can't do it. Rogue already made a bunch of links though. The fact that Rogue made this many Zerg links means that he didn't make drones. Or at least not as many. So Skillous doesn't need as fast a third. It is gonna shake up the game a little bit again. Rogue is droning as a madman right now, but for the time being, Skillous is actually totally fine. Lasers. Bzz, 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 bzz. Can he snipe the probe? Nah, not quite. So this is good movement here by Rogue. Or by Skillous, sorry. Generally speaking, whenever we see Protoss in these sort of scenarios, they will autopilot almost and just send that Oracle straight across the map. The fact that Skillous kept the first Oracles back, knowing that he was fine economically, so he didn't really need to kill drones, means that he can, well, zap away at those links for a little bit longer. And it's that urgency that's not really there right now for those Oracles, which is really good. Delays the 4th base. Man, I gotta say, I'm impressed by Skillous. Very good play. Twilight Council, Forge on the back of this. Looks like we're just gonna go into good old Blinky boys. Okay, yep, there it is. +1. Broke in the meantime going for a late +1 melee. I don't really like that, to be honest. He doesn't yet have a lair. Broke really needs to start up a lair here. He's very late. Are we not going lair? Like, he's going for a fast 4th base? But no lair, while having a pretty mediocre economy, only on 47 drones. I'm not exactly sure what Rogue is cooking up here. I mean, if he can... So this is so strange that there is a chance Skillous is just going to move out. If Rogue can get like a full surround on the Protoss army, with +1 melee being done, I mean, I can see this working out favorably for him, but it's a huge gamble. Because if Skillous just sits back and does nothing, he doesn't move out, he's gonna be A-okay. I mean, he's making workers right now. Oracles do need to come home, though, to keep this alive. We have a little bit of probe drilling. Yeah, honestly, the probes are doing quite well. Here come the Oracles. Energy recharge will keep them alive. That was actually really well managed by Skillous. He only lost 2 probes in total this entire game, and that was to the 2 links. So that Zergling run-by that we saw here just now killed nothing. I mean, it killed the Adept, but none of the workers. Cheeky little bit of probe control right there by Skillous. Stacking them up together, and then hitting the opponent in the face. So why did we make this base over here? It's an infestation pit? A baneling nest? Why baneling nest right now? I'm not sure exactly what Rogue is doing here. It can turn out to be okay, but I think Skillous is also scratching his head a little bit. He's trying to make the decision whether or not he should move out. And this is really difficult. Like, it's difficult for me to read with perfect information about this game, right? Like, I can see the whole map. For Skillous to make the call right now, I can't blame him if he decides to, yeah, take this a little bit, either like too aggressively or too relaxed, because it's a difficult call to make here. It's not entirely obvious to me, so how can he know, right? With very limited amounts of info. Well, he's gonna test the waters a bit. As long as he's on the edge of creep and he's got some stasis wards over here, he'll be fine. Ling run by attempted. +2 melee coming up, together with the Baneling nests and the speed upgrade. Okay. Burrow, together with a hive. I guess this is pure Ling Bane? Just Ling Bane. Seems like it. Hatchery over here is in a world of trouble, but here's the Ling run by. The thing is, these are not Zerglings with adrenal glands yet. Maybe they can still achieve something, though. Oracles are super good. I actually think you should make another Oracle in these type of scenarios. Yeah, suddenly you blink twice and the mineral line disappears. Just like that, the entire base dies. There's also a Ling Bane push over here. The Stalkers, rather than going home, have decided to counterattack. Okay, Skillous is saying, yo, buddy, I'll just wall myself in with an additional layer of structures in my natural. I will lose a lot more workers, but I'll take your economy down with it. Is this good? I mean, Rogue's economy is now also pretty garbage. Oracle's still going to town. Oh, Skillous actually just taking a base race here really surprised me. Pretty much every Protoss under the sun would have panic recalled. He may need to recall eventually, though, but he's trying to reduce the surface area. Now the queens are showing up. Yeah, can you recall here? I don't think so. You kind of have to fight it out. I mean, it's not even terrible. He's sending in reinforcements. Zork decides to run away. Adrenal gland startup right now. That's 40% attack speed for Zerglings. Queens are being chased away. Dude, I've been loving what Protoss players have been going for lately. It's very different. It's a lot more in your face. These are very scrappy games. Protoss always sucked at playing scrappy games. No more. And this is what Rogue wants to do, right? Like, the Rogue is the one inviting this. Seems to me that Skillous is beating him at his own game, although, that being said, the Nexus dies with the last Zergling. There is already, though, a new base over here. Stasis ward set up preemptively. This is now very disconnected, though. Skillous still has a natural over there, obviously, in a main base and all that, but his mining is mostly happening miles away. There's another base here at the bottom of the map, too. Skillous, though, apparently has his eyes set on a bigger target, and that's this base right over here. Now, keep in mind that this is mostly Zealots and Stalkers. Banelings can make very quick work of all of this. A couple Archons, by the way, are coming up. Okay. He's trying to bleed out a couple of the Zerglings. Good blink back. Stasis ward over here, bringing safety. Banelings being popped. Oh, great stuff here by Skillous, man. Ay, ay, ay. Fast-paced gameplay. Couple Banelings. Can this be what Rogue is looking for? Pretty good. Zealots, in the meantime, though, have found that base at the bottom, too. So good map awareness here by Skillous again. Both players now reduced to a meager, well, almost 50 workers. I think Archons are gonna destroy this Zerg army, man. He's waiting until it's the right time to reveal them, but I mean, this is basically not something you can kill with Ling Bane. Archons destroy Zergling Baneling. They deal splash damage against clumped up units, and they have a ton of HP. Obviously, if you have enough Ling Bane, you can overwhelm it, and you can destroy it that way. But this is not a situation where Rogue even remotely has the supply advantage. So here we go. This is what he's been cooking up. This is where he decides to commit with. I mean, he gets a lot of damage done with those Banes, but he doesn't really kill any of the other units left over. And just like that, it's Skillous who obtains the victory 2-1 over Rogue.